quiet town where secrets fester like wounds, one woman's disappearance would unravel a web of lies that no one saw coming. Picture this. A foggy evening in 2018. A young mother steps out of her modest home to grab groceries and vanishes into thin air. Her name was Lila Monroe, and what happened to her would expose a truth so dark, it would shake an entire community to its core. This is a story of betrayal, hidden motives, and a fight for justice that's still unfolding. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button for Crime Unfolded and stick around until the end, because the twist in this tale will leave you speechless. Let's dive in. The small town of Coldwater, Oregon, was the kind of place where everyone knew your name, but not necessarily your secrets. It was October 2018, and the air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. Lila Monroe, 29, was a single mother with a smile that could light up a room and a laugh that made strangers feel like friends. She worked as a cashier at the local grocery store, scraping by to provide for her 6-year-old daughter, Mia. Lila was no stranger to hardship. Raised in foster care, she'd fought tooth and nail for every bit of stability in her life. But to Mia, she was a superhero, tucking her in each night with stories of far-off adventures. On October 12th, Lila kissed Mia's forehead, promising to be back from the store in an hour. She grabbed her worn denim jacket, stepped into the fog, and walked toward the corner market. The streetlights flickered as she passed, casting long shadows on the cracked sidewalk. Her neighbor, Mrs. Callahan, later swore she saw Lila pause under a street lamp, glancing over her shoulder as if someone was watching. That was the last anyone saw of her. When Lila didn't return, Mia's babysitter called the police. Hours turned into days, and Coldwater was gripped by a question that hung like the fog. Where was Lila Monroe? The police launched a search, but Coldwater's small department was underfunded and overstretched. Lead Detective Frank Hargrove, a grizzled veteran with a permanent scowl, dismissed Lila's case as a runaway situation. She's a single mom, probably got overwhelmed and left, he told reporters, ignoring Lila's spotless record and devotion to Mia. The community rallied, plastering flyers with Lila's photo, her dark curls, her warm brown eyes, across town. Volunteers combed the woods, but the trail was cold. Whispers began to spread. Had Lila really run away, or was something darker at play? As the weeks passed, one detail emerged that sent chills through the town. Lila's phone, found discarded in a ditch, had a single unanswered call from an unknown number, made after she vanished. Who was trying to reach her, and why? Let's pause there for a second. If the story's got you hooked, smash that like button and subscribe to Crime Unfolded to catch more cases like this. Trust me, you'll want to hear what comes next. The investigation took a strange turn when Lila's best friend, Sarah Tate, came forward with a bombshell. Sarah, a nurse with a no-nonsense attitude, told police that Lila had been acting nervous in the weeks before she disappeared. She kept saying she felt watched, Sarah recalled, her voice trembling. She mentioned a man who'd been coming to the store, asking too many questions. Sarah described him as tall, with a neatly trimmed beard and a fancy watch that didn't fit Coldwater's blue-collar vibe. Lila had shrugged it off as a creepy customer, but Sarah wasn't so sure. When pressed, Sarah admitted Lila had been digging into something she wouldn't share, even with her best friend. The police brushed off Sarah's story, focusing instead on Lila's ex-boyfriend, Ryan Kessler. Ryan was a drifter with a rap sheet for petty theft and a temper that flared when he drank. He'd been spotted arguing with Lila outside her house a month earlier, and neighbors claimed he'd been jealous of her moving on. When questioned, Ryan was cagey, claiming he was out of town the night Lila vanished. But his alibi was shaky. No one could confirm his whereabouts. The town turned on him, painting him as the villain in a story that felt all too familiar. A woman wronged, a man with a motive. The media ran with it, splashing Ryan's mugshot across local news. But something didn't add up. If Ryan was guilty, why was Lila's phone still active? And who was the man with the fancy watch? As the investigation stalled, Mia became the heart of Coldwater's fight for answers. The 6-year-old, now living with her grandmother, drew pictures of her mom and left them on park benches, hoping Lila would see them and come home. The sight of Mia's tiny hand clutching a crayon broke the town's heart, but it also exposed a deeper wound. Coldwater's police had a history of mishandling cases involving marginalized women, single mothers, women of color, those without wealth or connections. Lila, a black woman raised in foster care, fit the profile of someone the system often overlooked. Activists began to rally, demanding justice for Lila and others like her. But just as the pressure mounted, a discovery in the woods turned the case upside down. A blood-stained scarf, Lila's scarf, was found near a remote cabin. And inside that cabin, a secret that would change everything. Hold on, because this is where things get wild. If you're gripped by this story, hit that subscribe button for Crime Unfolded and keep watching. The truth is about to unravel. The cabin belonged to a man named Victor Lang, a wealthy real estate developer who'd recently moved to Coldwater. Lang was the man with the fancy watch, the one Lila had mentioned to Sarah. He was charming, polished, and donated generously to local charities. But behind his smile was a reputation for ruthless business deals. When police searched the cabin, they found more than just the scarf. Hidden in a locked drawer were photos of Lila, candid shots taken without her knowledge, snapped outside her home, her work, even Mia's school. The images sent a chill through the investigation. Was Victor stalking Lila? And if so, why? Detective Hargrove, under pressure from activists, finally brought Lang in for questioning. Lang claimed he barely knew Lila, saying he'd only spoken to her at the store a few times. But his story crumbled when phone records showed multiple calls between him and Lila's number, calls he couldn't explain. Even more damning, a witness came forward. A gas station clerk who saw Lang's car near the ditch where Lila's phone was found, hours after she disappeared. The town was ready to convict Lang, but he had an ace up his sleeve. A team of high-powered lawyers who painted Lila as unstable, claiming she'd been obsessed with Lang after a brief fling. The accusation was a gut punch, especially to Sarah, who knew Lila would never chase a man like that. But the smear worked. Public opinion began to shift, and the police seemed ready to let Lang walk. Was this another case of wealth and privilege shielding the guilty? Then came the twist no one saw coming. Sarah, digging through Lila's old belongings, found a hidden journal tucked inside a shoebox. Its pages revealed a secret Lila had been guarding. She'd been investigating Coldwater City Council, including Victor Lang, for a land deal that displaced low-income families. Lila had stumbled across documents proving Lang was bribing officials to push through a luxury development, forcing families like hers out of their homes. She'd been gathering evidence, planning to go public. The last entry in her journal, dated the day she vanished, read, "He knows I know. I'm scared, but I won't stop." The man she feared? Victor Lang. Had Lila's fight for justice cost her her life? Don't move, this story's not over yet. Subscribe to Crime Unfolded and stay with me, because the final piece of this puzzle will leave you stunned. The journal turned the case on its head. Activists seized on Lila's words, staging protests outside the police station with signs reading, "Justice for Lila," and "No more forgotten women." The media frenzy grew, and Lang's polished facade began to crack. Under mounting pressure, Detective Hargrove reopened the investigation, but it was too late to undo the damage. Evidence had been mishandled, witnesses had moved away, and Lang's lawyers were circling like vultures. Worse, Lila's body was never found, leaving the case in limbo. Was she dead? Or had she been silenced and hidden away? The question haunted Coldwater, and Mia's drawings became a symbol of a town's failure to protect one of its own. But the story didn't end there. In 2020, a whistleblower from Lang's company came forward with a leaked email. It was from Lang to a city official, sent the day before Lila vanished, and it read, "She's a problem. Deal with it." The email wasn't enough for an arrest, but it reignited the fight for justice. Sarah, now an advocate for missing women, launched a podcast to keep Lila's case alive, vowing to find the truth. Mia, now older, joined her, speaking at rallies with a courage that echoed her mother's. The social justice movement grew, exposing how systemic neglect, rooted in race, class, and gender, had failed Lila and countless others. Lang moved away, but the shadow of suspicion followed him. To this day, Lila's fate remains unsolved, a wound that won't heal until the truth comes to light. What happened to Lila Monroe? Was she silenced for daring to challenge the powerful? Or is there another twist we haven't uncovered? One thing is certain. Her story is a call to action, a reminder that justice isn't just a word, it's a fight. If this story moved you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Crime Unfolded for more cases that demand to be told. Comment below. What do you think happened to Lila, and how can we keep her story alive? Until next time, stay curious, and let's keep unfolding the truth together.